Sam, why don't you just start off with about your journey for 40 years, and then you can take some
My
questions.
journey for 40 years.
How much time?
Wow. It's been longer than 40 years. The first game I did here for MSG Network was a radio game, February 7th, 1977. Knicks and the Nets. Jim Gordon, who was my predecessor on Rangers hockey and my mentor throughout my younger days as an aspiring announcer, was supposed to fill in for Marv Albert on the game. Jim got sick. They asked him if he could recommend someone, and he recommended me, and I'm still here. That's the good news. I did several basketball games that first year. The next year they came to me and said, "Can you do hockey?" And I said, "Sure, I can do hockey." And I'm still doing hockey. The day I had a lot of tapes that I had built up doing hockey while I was working for UPI Audio Network in the 70s. I'd do my shift on the air at UPI and then come over to the Garden and cover games, interview players. But I would take a period or so and go off to the corner of the press box and call the game. And those were my demo tapes and the tapes that got me in here. My first contract that I signed with MSG was in 1982. Joe Cohen was the head of Madison Square Garden, and he envisioned me as the next Brent Musburger. We did all kinds of things. They were doing volleyball, women's tennis, boxing, and I was the backup guy on radio for Rangers hockey. And then in 1984, they came to me. The people of MSG Network came to me, Pete Silverman, Phil Harmon, and said they wanted to make a change. Jim was doing the play-by-play at the time, and that was a very tough time for me because Jim had done everything to help me get to where I was, to help me get to entree to Madison Square Garden, and they asked me to take over for him, and that was very, very difficult. But they said, "We're going to make a change, and if it's not you, it'll be someone else." And I made the decision to take the job, and I'm still here, and I hope Jim appreciates that because up where he is, looking down on us, he did a lot for me, and I value that to this day. And then we went on and on. I started off with Phil Esposito for a couple of years. We had some fun times. Phil just is the same now at age 80 plus that he was then. Didn't know who the players were, didn't care who the players were, but when the puck was dropped, he knew everything about the game. He knew the hows and whys, and we had 2 great years, and then I sent him off to be the GM of the Rangers. And then JD came back from Canada, where he had honed his skills and become the best color analyst there was in the business. And we spent 20 glorious years together and are friends to this day, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in a little while. John took me a little longer to get him a good job, but I got him the St. Louis Blues general manager's job in in 2006. And Joe Micheletti, who I had met in his days, I think the first, I watched him play, and he and Alain Vigneault were a defensive pair for the Blues in the 80s a little bit. But Joe was one of those players, gave you everything he could on the ice. I remember that. I got to know him a little bit when he was an assistant coach for Brian Sutter. And then when ESPN got the national contract in 1995, the two lead broadcast teams were Mike Doc Emmerich and JD, and myself and Joe Micheletti. So we spent 5 years together doing national games. He came to New York as the Islanders analyst, and so when JD left, it was just a natural for MSG Network to slide him over and be the analyst with the New York Rangers, and we're still going at it pretty strong, and it's been good. I've had three wonderful analysts to work with, and it's made my job easier. Every game I look forward to. I look forward to every game now till the end of the season. I'm trying to drag this team into the playoffs with me. I walk around the locker room at practice giving them encouragement. Come on, guys, you can do it. They're not listening to me. But hopefully that'll change in the next couple of weeks. I'm open to questions. How did I do, Dan?
Excellent, Sam.
Thank you.
Sam, you've had love in every arena, visiting arena all season long. How do you think it'll feel to hear it?
Today, I'm a little nervous about it, to be the center of attention here in this building, a building that I've been coming to since it opened in '68, when we had the gondola as our broadcast location. I felt the crowds, I felt the building shake. I remember a Billy Joel concert on New Year's Eve, and I said to my wife at the time, if the Rangers ever win the Cup, it's going to be just like this and even better. And in '94, that was the greatest moment. I mean, to do a Game 7 in your home building for the team that I've rooted for all my life, and to call that game, can't get any better than that.
What would 12-year-old Sam Rosen say if he heard that he was going to have an entire day at Madison Square Garden dedicated to him?
Have a good time. Have a good time. Yeah, have fun with it. And wow, there'd be a few wows in there too. Yeah, I mean, Molly, growing up in New York, it was all, for me, my parents were working, and for myself, my older brother, it was all about sports. We played any place and every place. Streets of New York. We were in the Borough Park section of Brooklyn. They closed off 51st Street with police barricade, and we played stickball in the street. And we'd go in the schoolyard and play football and go to the park. And I never skated. I watched a lot of roller hockey games in the park, and I called them while I was off to the side. But it was really fun growing up. It was a great time, and sports has always been a huge part of my life, and I couldn't have asked for anything better.
What have been your favorite gifts you've gotten on the road this year?
Gifts?
Yeah.
Well, John Cooper gave me a bottle of Cab at his morning media gathering, and I think Joe told him that I preferred Merlot. So when I got to the booth at 5 o'clock that night, there was a bottle of Merlot autographed by John Cooper. So I had still have it. Haven't opened it yet. I'm thinking about opening it up when the Lightning are here, April 17th, and having a glass with John.
Sam, when you announced it over the summer, you still had a full season to go. It felt like it was kind of in the distance still. 12 games left in the regular season, I think only 5 at Madison Square Garden. Is it feeling more real now, or the emotions?
Yeah, I've been able to focus most of the season just on the games and the travel and the team and the race and the ups and downs of the team, but it's getting down to the short numbers. I think when we get to the single digits, Vince, on this road trip, it'll hit. The final trip to California will be something that'll hit me. I'll get to see, Joe and I will get to see Joe Cohen, who hired me and that'll be a special time because Joe was always great to me. And yeah, it'll start to hit hard. That's why I'd love to see the team make the playoffs and stretch it out. And because TNT has the Stanley Cup final, and Kenny might be doing that, will be doing that, I might be doing the radio if the Rangers find a way to perform some magic. So I'm hoping for the best. I'd like to do some playoff games just to wind it up. That would be great.
Tim, what has the farewell tour been like for you? I mean, wherever you've gone.
You know, Dan, this last road trip, I sat and I thought about every city in the league and realized that in every city I have people that I know very well, care about me, and I realized that I've made a lot of friendships and got to know some really wonderful people at all levels. And the fans certainly have been great coming up wherever. Ranger fans travel so well. We were in Salt Lake City and there was a long line to come up between periods to ask for an autograph, to ask for a selfie. But just to know the people in the different cities, announcers, players who played here, players who knew me from doing national games, it was really good to get that feeling that you built up great relationships throughout the years. Very special.
Sam, how long have you been thinking about ending it, and what ultimately made this the year that you say now's the time?
I think it starts to get in. I probably start to, last May I had a little bit of an illness and I missed a couple of playoff games on the radio, and I think that kind of hits you, and you think about, what if you were on the road and you got sick? How would that how would that feel? What would that mean? And that's when that's when I kind of started to think about it seriously and talk about it with my wife and my family. And this is the right time. And I've said to my family, if my level of performance falls off at all, you have to tell me, because I don't want to be hanging around. When I go out this year, I want to have people look at me and say, boy, what they're saying, we're going to miss you. We really love what you're doing. You're still at the top of your game. And I think that's the way I want to go out. And I'm happy with that decision because I think Joe and I have had a great year together. It's always been fun. The games are great. The best thing about it is the games. The travel gets tedious. The packing really stinks. Oh, I'm still packing for California. I'll be up till 3 in the morning tonight. Please, hate it. We good? Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being. Thank you. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I love being around all of you. The professionals that we work with are the hardest working people. I admire all the work that you do, all of the guys that are regular. Molly, the work that you do, you know how I feel about the job that you do. And it's great to be around all of you, to talk hockey, to talk travel, to talk whatever, restaurants and food. I'll miss that. I'll miss that camaraderie. It's very special to me. I consider myself a people person and always look forward to our relationships and the time we spent together. So thank you very much. Thanks.